you have these hammer fists before the punches in here. So he said when he went to Okinawa, a lot of times in training this, you would work a push hand drill this way, back and forth, where you're working your hammer fist in this way, but also building strength and learning to feel an opponent's resistance. And here, you're trying to pin that to the chest, and he pushes and he tries to bring it over. He's trying to pin my chest, and the same thing back. You may have even, have to use your body mechanics and hip to push it in, especially if you're partnered over here with this guy, for example, right? Okay, so going in here, he's pushing. So I feel his resistance as he pushes. I pull this way. See? So I'm bringing him off balance. So as we're working back and forth, as he feels me push, he's going to pull, punch to the ribs, and then the head this way, right? So again, back and forth this way. Okay? So our version of Pinan starts with the hammer. So this way, then strike, then down. Then we do it on the other side. 1, 2, 3 this way. Okay? That's the way we generally work it. And the hammer fist is great for reversing the grip, especially from a cross grab. So sometimes in fights and grappling, people will sit here and try to control your arm in different ways, right? Especially if you hit them hard a few times, if they get hit, and they just kind of do one of these, so they're trying to control. So if he grabs me in this cross grab type situation, I'm going to use this hammer fist to throw him off balance this way. Now strike. Now the next move of the kata is a down block, so I'm going to control here, or you can control the head, or you can control the hair. This is nicest for your partner. Then you can finish here, okay? Right. Now, when you're doing this reversing the grip, you want to work the hammer fist just like the kata. So you want to bring it up high, grab, and twist down. Because the twisting of the arm and the shoulder is what leaves him vulnerable and makes it difficult for him to counter. Okay? You want to make sure you're in here close for the takedown. All right? Now, I don't want you to get too stuck on the reversing the grip. Has to be with the opponent in front of you. That works best for doing it exactly like the kata. But this grip is the same as this grip from the side, is the same as this grip from the back if they're trying to control you. I can prove it. Right? Okay? It's all the same grip. So if I grab him here, he can still turn and do his hammer fist and do that same move from the kata this way. See? It's all the same. So don't get too stuck on it has to be cross grab, because it could be this grab. All right? Okay, go ahead and try that a little bit. It's just real simple. Hammer fist, punch, low block. All right? Basics are good, especially if you are solid with your punch. That's what I'm saying. But if as he kicks, I scoop this leg with my pullback, right? Now when I punch, I've got a different technique. Okay? So he kicks. And just to be nice, I threw the punch lower. Okay? But you're here, 1. Now, I step in and hit. The timing's a little difficult at first. But my pullback's here, my punch is here, and just to be nice, this is reality. To be nice as I step behind, I'm hitting him, punching past him to complete the throw, right? Just because we're friends, But again, you down block and scoop. So down block to here, with the leg, ends up being here. See? So he kicks. 1 this way. Now 2 this way. See? Okay? You guys will have to show each other that part. In the high block to the down block, this turn. If you ever train a grappling art, you'll notice that a lot of the throws actually involve 270-degree turns as they go. We're going to use this as more of a controlling technique. Now, one thing I want to make clear, these techniques so far, I'm showing just the moves from the kata. You can enhance the application of the kata in street self-defense by adding in strikes and softening your opponent up in those things. And I think that's an important part. But for the sake of what I'm doing right this second, I'm just showing the basic that the kata teaches. Okay? So he throws a punch, right? I'm going to high block in here. So I'm getting in close and controlling. So again, high block in here. Make him turn. See how his body is physically turning away from me? Now he's in a position where it's hard for him to actually face me. Now I'm going to control the gi, control the arm, and turn this way. Okay? So, again, as he comes in, you cover this way. Grab this way. Yes, sir.
So for shorin-ryu, we go, and then I don't know for Waza, but what's it called? We go at a 45-degree angle.
That's okay.
So it's the same.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you may need to turn a little more for the throw, but you may not either. Just to the size of your opponent, right? So I don't think that because you don't turn quite as far, it doesn't fit the application. I don't think that way, right?
I was wondering if there was like some sort of adjustment of the ice.
I don't know. I haven't done it that way. Okay, just to be honest with you, I don't do it that way because we turn all the way. Okay, but that's something that I think is important because a lot of times I would do seminars with people of other systems, and their application may not fit perfect, but it's close. And then the concept allows you to open your mind, and then maybe find something that fits for you perfect. So just look at it that way too. This is an idea. How can I take it and make it match what I do, right? So one more time, just real quick on this. Covering, turning. There's pressure here. Because if there's not pressure on the shoulder, he's going to turn back in and hit me, especially when it's a real fight, right? So I maintain pressure so that if I need to, I can control. So as he punches, I'm in here. Now, control it. This one lifts, this one pulls down. Just like the kata. This one lifts, this one pulls down, right? Okay, go ahead and try that. Okay, very simple. But you'll see the girls should say one of the few tapes of him online doing bunkai is that throw. And so you'll see him do that a lot. And when you put it in place in some of the kata, like from here, all you have to do is turn and you wind up just like the kata this way. And if they get up, you can turn it into your punch. Okay? All right. A little bit more, and then we'll move on to the next technique, and then we'll go to a different kata. And the way I look at this is side is defending a left kick, and this side is defending a right kick. So as he throws that left kick, throw counter, come in. Now, this way. Then you get it, right? So as he throws this left kick, well actually there's a cat stick, so I can, as he throws, boom, come right under here, right? But now from here, I'm going to grab this tendon right under his knee. Now I'm going to twist this, okay? Now there's a lot of things you can do to finish him from there. Here, kick through, stomp down. If you still have a hold of the leg, there's a number of ankle locks, heel hooks, things you can do to crank it up and finish. We can get into all that later. But first, just the single leg is one, step in, again. Let's turn this way. You saw where I grabbed. Yes? Let's turn this way so you guys can see where I grabbed. One, grab right in here. I'm reaching down and grabbing that tendon right in the knee. So I'm not going to be nice about this because he might be trying to punch me. Then this is going to lift and this is going to pull down at the same time. This guy close to that wall. So I want to throw him into the mirror. One, two, three. Okay. Go ahead now. And we're all going to run our kata, and that's it. We're just going to run kata. No big deal, right? So we're all standing there at camp, and I mean, there's like 300 people lined up. Minoru Sensei's up on stage, and he goes, "Richardo-san, come here." So we're running up there. Yes, Sensei. He goes, "Bunkai for this move," and I kid you not, he goes, bang, right? Hits me right in the groin. My Sensei Mate, he was cracking up. This guy was cracking up. That was the first thing that happened. But he showed 3 applications off that move. That was one, was just to cover, and the cat stance was kick underneath. 2 was to grab and twist, and 3 was from the inside, hyperextend the knee this way. That one I don't teach a whole lot, because for the hyperextension you have to put some pressure, or it won't work, especially a good guy, or a big guy. But then if you put too much pressure, you can hurt their knee. So that one I don't teach a whole lot, unless I'm really comfortable with the group, just because of the pressure on the knee. And you get one person resisting hard, and one person trying too hard to make it work, and then someone's going to get hurt, right? So
Then it works.
Yeah, then it works, yes, which is how it generally happens. Okay, good. Everyone had a chance to work on those techniques? Let's transition into what would be called Pinan. Now the way we work is cat stance this way. Cat stance this way. I know some people work back stance. I know some step up. I don't get too caught up in the little details. We're looking more of a conceptual thing here. One of my favorite ideas for fighting is that, we gotta stay in line with this camera, right? Forget these things. One of my favorite ideas for fighting Because if you hit him hard and knock him out, your chances of winning go way up. I had a very high-ranking guy teach me that. So if he comes in to choke, there's 2 strikes, right? I have my cat stance and I have his balance, so this would not be a hard shoot here. See? But as he reaches, the natural thing to do is bring up 2 hands. The cross is a hit here and sets up my next strike here, but that's a fast way to hit somebody twice, you see? So as he reaches, this way. That's just a real simple way of looking at it. We'll start there, and then we'll get into something more complicated. Okay? All right? So that's pretty much it with that technique. Next, let's say he comes in with a straight punch or push, and you end up here, right? Now, if I end up with his arm in this position, this is just like the kata. I might be grabbing, might not, but I'm sure going to have this hand up in case he's throwing more punches, right? Now, my next move comes right here to the shoulder, okay? Now, I can't really miss the shoulder because I can't really miss my own hand. So once you have somebody in this position, you can't really miss. And the thing is, if you hit this up and out, it's gone, right? So from here, as he comes in, I hook it, strike, strike, this way, okay? But now I'm hitting, again, to the shoulder. Now I could, just for good measure, hit that shoulder twice to make sure it's out, but this one punch should do the trick. So I like coming in here, strike, strike to the neck on the next one. So again, this, I wrap, this hand comes up, just in case he has another punch or something coming at me so I can cover it. Boom, this hits here. So my crossing in the kata becomes popping that shoulder out of socket, then strike, okay? So many times in martial arts we get fixed on, I won't control this guy. Why? How many people in here are in security or law enforcement? Okay, we don't have to control anyone, we can break them and go home. Okay? So, we're right here. Again, bang. Okay? Okay. Go ahead. He's wrapped up here. But old Okinawan karate block like this. Okay? A lot of times I first learned this off of actually Pinan, which we just did, where they were punching and they just use the hammer fist to block and punch forward at the same time. So as he comes in, you hit it, now hit it, now bring it into whatever you want to do to finish from there, right? But old Okinawan karate, throw more than one punch. Okay? It's tough. It's tough to punch the guy when he's throwing his punches, his blocks, right over this way. And all it is from your soto, okay? Just drive it straight forward, right? And that may not seem like a powerful punch, but people move in when they punch you. So that helps a lot, right? Because they just run right into it. Okay, good. Next move of the kata. Next move of the kata gets a little complicated when you look at different schools, because some throw a front kick, some throw a side kick. We actually middle block and kick. So I teach this in my school. I use it as a chance to try to make my students block stronger. So I grab them like this, and I get really strong, and I'm kind of a jerk about it. Like, hit me harder. And they go like this, and I don't budge. And so I make them step and hit me with their body weight, right? So for a minute, let's just practice strong blocking, okay? And over here, hit hard with the block, but don't hit too hard with that kick. That's not very nice. He grabs one, okay? Then we're going to have some fun here with this strike. Okay? Right here. This way. And this turn is, this one's a little harder than it looks like. So from here, kick, when he throws, I catch the arm, and I pull back. Just like our normal pullback. When his elbow touches my hip, he's off balance. Then you take the head and you tip it, which throws off his equilibrium. And then you turn with his momentum, with his head tilted and his arm pulled in, and he's going to flip, okay? And this works, maybe if he's in the kata 1, 2, 3, go ahead. Good. Maybe I grab him, he turns, kicks, boom, maybe he hits me hard and I just sort of fall into him. That works too, right? Or maybe the kick misses and they come in hard with a big haymaker. That works too, right? And these type of momentum throws are really beneficial if the person's off balance, right? You're walking down the street late at night and the guy staggers out of the bar. Comes at you like this, that's a perfect throw. Okay? Alright, so go ahead and try that. Remember, pulling the elbow into the hip and tilting the head are key. And pulling the elbow, because you can put the hand on the hip, but the hand doesn't really affect his balance point. The elbow affects his balance more because the elbow can't reach as far. So anytime you want to control this person, doesn't matter if you're controlling them to the side, down, wherever you want them to go, you're going to control them by the arm. You have to be above the elbow. Have to. Okay?
Nice.
All right, go ahead. Block, strike, right in here. Okay? So this is just moving into that armbar situation. So now, of course, you can always add strikes in, right? For us, we're always in cat stance. The cat stance always implies some sort of attack down low. Also, I like to step behind on this too, because from here, you can attack that knee. Break the knee. Okay? Thanks, Dom. All right, go ahead. Try that. 1, 2. See? Now this leg is here. 3. If you drive that all the way down with your knee in there, you'll do what they call a knee separation. Right? Because anytime, if he drops down on his knees for a second, anytime you put a fulcrum in here, you can separate the joint. Especially in grappling, they'll put a fulcrum there and lift, and that'll separate the joint. So, yeah. But again, too, you're not going to be on mats either. So you're here, and you drop this down into the ground, and that patella tendon bounces off the concrete with all of his weight and my weight coming down on it. That's not going to be very fun. Right? Okay. Pretty much right? It's like if we trip, our chin comes up and our equilibrium corrects our balance and we start walking, right? So if you want to strike somebody in the throat, pull down their arm and then hit them because their chin's going to stick out for you, right? So if you hit somebody's arm down this way, hitting under the chin and into the neck is easy. Okay, same thing here. Our body naturally tries to keep us from hyperextending our joints. So when you put pressure on that joint, it keeps it from hyperextending. But when you attack the nerves in here, the brain kind of shuts that down because it thinks it's already hurt. You know, so it just shuts that down a little bit and makes your armbar more effective. So what I do when I'm doing my armbar is I actually roll and cut into the nerves on the arm and the tendons on the arm because I want some pain in there before I ever apply the armbar. Okay? So, you know, you just kind of, right above the elbow, right here, is that area, and you just kind of cut into it with your forearm. Okay, to the outside, because the shoot-toe sets up this way. At least, you see a lot of different setups for it. I shouldn't say it sets up that way every time. But the way I set it up is this way, right? So, this one comes in and strikes. So you can just train controlling and striking, right? Which is no different than if he punches, control and strike this way, right? But sometimes it's easier to learn from a static position. And again, I like to get used to controlling here, not here. Okay? A couple different reasons. If he controls here, that's not fun. Okay? If he controls here though, then no, there's nothing I can do, right? And you'd be against a pretty good fighter if you slap their hand out and they rolled over and hit you with an elbow. It's time to go find a new opponent. Don't fight that guy because he's done some serious something somewhere. Okay? Leave him alone. But it could happen. If you control here, you have a lot more control over what they can do. Right? If he controls the hand, I can break. Again, they would have some training to do that. But it can happen. If he controls here, less things I can break and do. Nothing. Right? Okay? So anyway, practice just slap down strike. Hanging on. I don't want to do anything else.
Only Pinan.
Okay, so we're going to work on generating power. I talked about a minute ago that there are a couple different ways to generate power, torque and body weight. A combination of both is generally where you're going to generate the most power. What we're going to work on for a second is dropping our body weight. Now I'm going to drop it down this way onto a target that's in a lower position, but that doesn't mean it's any different right here. You still drop it. You still drop it on the heart, you know. Then you can punch to the throat the same way, okay? So I want you to focus on with this is not just turning the hip, because that's what this looks like. I also want you to bend the knees, drive through this way, okay? So you're dropping through that way. Go ahead and try it. Upward motion. Upward power is difficult. It's not something people train on, right? The upward power, you're going to torque your hip, you're going to bend your knees, just like any other way of generating power in your karate. As you turn your hip, you're going to drive that strike up. So in this case, I'm just using an open palm. You can use a fist or whatever tool you're used to. So you're going to drive it up this way. See? And you turn this hip, this elbow's in line, and I come up this way. Right? This again, he grabs. Oh, this way. Out. See? Easy. Okay? Because sometimes, which you'll see, some people use application for like Nahashi and different things. Okay? Anyway, then after this, we'll get back to the Pinan stuff. Okay? Yeah, it's a lot easier. Okay? Alright, good. So Pinan Shodan, so far, we've done this part of the kata, we've done this part of the kata, and then we've done the shuto to the angle, and the shuto to the angle. We skipped the fingertip strike, right? Fingertip strikes used to be a big part of karate. You know, a lot of dojo used to have the jars with the rocks, and they drive their fingers into the rocks and hit the maki with them. But you know, how many of us here today honestly do any of that? So the hitting with the fingers is probably not going to be our best tool, right? But that's not to say you couldn't go to the eyes or to the throat with it, because about that much pressure on his eye is going to be enough to make him close both of them. If you've ever had an eye hit in sparring, it's hard to open the uninjured eye because our reaction is to protect ourselves. But for a minute, let's take the idea out of it that we're hitting with our fingers, okay? You see a lot of systems will step in this way in this kata, and pushing on the back and driving forward this way, right? So maybe he has a haymaker or a big punch this way, okay? So this one, you're right here, one step through, this hits to the back, this lifts the chin. Very important not just to go straight across this way, because whoever's stronger is going to win, right? You want to, as you hit, lift this chin back. Because then it's easy to drop off. Okay? So as you come through, right here, 1, 2. Okay? And again, I'm taking it kind of easy on the power of this strike, because even though I'm not hitting him with my hand, if you've ever hit anybody with a bicep, you get a lot of power just bang this way, right? In fact, from the clinch, I like to hit you like this. Okay? But anyway, try that a little bit. Don't hit each other too hard, but you're coming through, this presses, and this controls, and you drive into your stance this way. Okay? Right? And you ain't locking two things at the same time unless it's a push. So that I can see both hands, right? But I don't like the concept of like locking and kicking a punch at the same time, because no one attacks like that, and if they did, you'd be pretty fortuitous to be able to see that coming, you know? So, I like the idea of if I'm blocking low, I'm striking high. If I'm blocking high, I'm striking low. Right? And then you can come right in here. So what I like working is strike here. Okay? Now I like hitting the groin or the body because generally speaking, when somebody gets hit in those areas, their arms tend to get weak. You know, a lot of times people get the wind knocked out of them, they kind of, those arms become weak. It makes it easier to do an arm break. So from right here, strike and then come right in. Notice how this is a strike too, and then I use his body as a fulcrum point to break the arm. Okay? So this one, strike. Now the elbow is right here, and there's a fulcrum point. Okay? So a little slower. First block, every block has a setup is right here. Oh, sorry. Then this hits this way. Okay? Go ahead. 2, 3. The middle block. 1. So he throws that kick. Hold down and lift. Now he should go down from there, but if not, hold on to his other arm so that he doesn't have an arm to punch you with, and then you can sweep the leg too. But you don't necessarily need the sweep, because it's just like this throw we did earlier, where we lift on the arm and pull down on the head. But this time we have the arm and we have the leg, so we're going to yank down and lift. Just be careful on with that right knee, because if they don't pivot right or go down with it, you know, there's a little potential for twisting. So if you want to be a little safer on the knee, you step through and roll. But again, if you do that, I like to grab both arms, because now it literally has nothing he can do, you know? Okay. Anyway, go ahead and try that, and he should be laying down over there, right? So sometimes when you look at this, we get stuck on things like how to trap the leg. But that's all the space between the move, where you're doing your setup for your block, right? By the time you get to here, your technique is finished, right? So when you have the arm and the leg by the time this goes down and this goes up, my technique's finished when I get to here. So you got to look, sometimes when you're looking for application in Kata, you have to look at what's happening between the moves, not where they end, right? But so many times we look at Kata as if we were looking at a book of pictures. And all we do is see the end of each move. And we never look at what all this was doing, right? So sometimes we gotta start looking at what's between the moves. All right? And that's where you find the footwork and everything too. Okay? All right, good. Go ahead and practice a little more each style and the way they do things. I think it's just a matter of figuring out why they do things. And that's why I always like to ask is, why do you do it that way? You know? And so, in our Pinan Sandan, we shoot the hand straight down. Some people bring it back. We shoot it straight down and then come around this way. When you look at that movement, the reason why you would want to be shooting the hand down is if somebody were pushing your hand up, right? And then if you do any grappling, you can enhance that by grabbing your own gi pins or jeans if you're out in the street. Because once he grabs and pushes down, it's pretty hard to bend this back, you see? And if somebody is, go ahead and start from the beginning. If somebody does push you and try to put you in a shoulder lock, even just pushing down, even just pushing down, it's very difficult to then take it and get it back into position, right, for a shoulder lock. So for example, if I'm attacking this arm, he shoots it straight down next to his body, it's tough to armbar. He's protected his arm from my joint lock. Now he's going to finish the kata by spin, hammer fist, and then step through punch. Okay, so that's what we're looking at. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so go ahead and try that with your partner. This is a really simple application, but it does teach you to start defending grappling techniques, right? And even if some things don't change, so even if I were like trying to do a Kimura on him, that would be his best defense, is shooting this in and grabbing that there, see? So all he's doing is working, defending any type of grappling attack to his arm by shooting it down and even grabbing it, right? We don't grab, because everybody has really nice WPF kata gis that they don't want to wrinkle. Just kidding. Okay. So this one is 1, 2, right here. He takes the arm and the leg at the same time. See? And when you lock the arm, that knee's also in a bad place. So 1, 2, right? Now this locks. This is pushing him off balance. This traps the knee. You have a takedown. You just want to be careful not to trap your partner's knee too hard. And that's not one I put on the internet, because some of the ones the neurosensei teaches are just kind of keep prosthetics like this. That's an esoteric teaching instead of the exoteric teaching. Those of you who are fans of Pythagoras sometimes. Okay. Yeah. Exoteric, yeah, because we used to have 2 classes. This exoteric class that he would show for everybody. Anybody could learn from him. They had his esoteric, which was just like his students.
Inclusive and exclusive.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Sometimes, you learn these concepts from kata. You got to figure out how to make them work for the fight. So you weave, right? Now you step through the same way. Because you know if he's sitting there, start throwing punches. You know if he's throwing all these punches, right? I know all I need to do is trap the right hand. I can do that technique. Because I know he's left foot forward, right? So then you can get back to a familiar ground. So you weave this way. Now you tap. Okay? So if you want to try it that way, you can. As you weave, you can hit. See? Okay? Now this comes up and strikes, right? Or maybe as a hemming, right? And you hit. Now, right? Because I got a back fist. But it's tough to back fist from here. Maybe, might create space. See? So those are just a couple examples, depending on whether or not you prefer to be on the inside, right? This way, or if you prefer to be inside this way instead of outside, right? But this is a powerful hit. If he bends over at all from that, this comes up before the back fist. That anytime they get hit under here, it's not very pleasant. So again, the girls. Right, so it does that image. This way. And move off. Okay. Okay. Go ahead, Okinawa, and step in. One of the Yakusoku Kumite was doing with Minoru Sensei, I was his uke. He only did it to me like 2 or 3 times. But I literally had a bruise and this pressure point on my leg, because every time he would do his elbow, he would step in and rotate and take out that leg right here as he did his attack. And you know, the thing about that is, the more your opponent's getting hit in different places, the harder it is for them to figure out where to defend. You know, so even though that may not be a fight-ending power strike, you get hit here and here at the same time, just pop up. You don't know where to start blocking. By then you're already hitting them in the head. Right? So now they're getting 1, 2, 3, and they don't know where to cover. So the more places you can hit fast, the harder it is going to be for your opponent to figure out what to do next. Okay? Okay? If they're thinking about defense, they're not trying to hit you. Attacking the upper body. So like I showed you earlier, Minoru Sensei, like this one, then we also will come into like a front stance this way, and a hyper extend the knee. And all of this is done while doing other techniques, you see? Because this keeps him from really being able to turn in and hit me. From this position, he's got to free his leg before he can punch me. Okay, so, and if you do it a little stronger and damage the joint, then they can't do much, right? So a lot of times in kata, you see your stances, that's what they're used for. Your stances are used to either root for power or to attack the other person's legs. Okay? Okay. All right, good. Let's do this kata here. So many times we focus on the fact that the hands are reaching behind us, that we ignore the fact that the opponent could be in front of us. And actually, at the end of one of our Yakusoku Kumite drills that we do in the Shorin-ryu, we end with a movement that's exactly like the kata for Pinan Sanda. So he middle blocks, then he punches, I block out here, and then come through this way. Okay? So we'll just do that last part. So he punches, block, grab. Okay? Now I'm going to step behind into my stance, just like the kata. This elbow is on his ribs. This one's up on the gi. And as I pull across, this elbow is going to lift. This is going to pull down. This is going to come across. And again, this is one of Minoru Nagasato Sensei's applications for Pinan Sanda. So I always like when they show certain things like this, because you never know where they got it. You know, that could have been something that was passed down directly from Itosu Sensei, or just something that he developed and taught. You don't know. So when he punches, 1, 2, 3, right? Okay. A lot of these things are going to be strikes, like in a real fight. This hits. Now, maybe this mauls, right? But for now, we'll just keep it basic like the kata. If you guys are feeling good and want to add in some strikes, you can do that too. Okay? Would you like? So I would try to do that. Real quick, you know, I've got some more. I could just keep going, and we're not going to make it through all 5 kata, I don't think, at this point. We're on the 3rd one, and we got 25 minutes left. But before I just continue to throw techniques at you, I thought I would open it up and ask, are there any questions about a specific move in kata? Now, before I open that up, you know, the theme of the class is the Pinan, so let's try to stick to that for now. And the other thing I can say is all I can answer is from my point of view as a shorin-ryu practitioner. So if I contradict what you guys are doing in your own systems, please do not get offended, or don't, you know, go yell at your sensei, hey, I just trained with this guy, and he just had to do it this way. Yeah, don't do that. Okay? Any questions on anything from
Pinan Godan.
Pinan Godan.
The jump.
We don't have a jump.
You don't have it.
We don't have a jump.
That was easy.
From here?
Yeah.
We
No jump.
Okay, so it may be similar, maybe application, but
Yeah.
maybe.
Well, if you jump, you knock out this guy with the elbow, and then the body is in your way. So you get over.
Ah,
Just kidding, of course. But the application for that, most people will say, is a throw of some sort. Okay. So a lot of times, you know, you might be in here and lifting on this part, and as you step back and prepare for the turn, you're preparing to throw, right? So you like to throw. You can throw me on this one. Ready?
Jump at the
He
body
steps
side.
in, good. Now he turns this way. See? So that kind of thing in there. And you'll see that in Okinawa. Actually, in our Pinan Godan is kind of interesting. Because from this part here, we stay almost on a straight line. See? And then, so the rest of the kata, almost like Shinto, in ours, where we stay on one line. Just different. Yes?
So with the bunkai that you teach for the heian kappas, they can, I'm sorry, for the Pinan kappas, they can transition well into Shinto, Basai, Pasai, or Naihanchi.
They can't, because it's karate in its concepts. They transition best into Shinto and Kusanku. Because originally there was Shinto, Kusanku, and Pasai, and supposedly Itosu Sensei took the movements from Shinto and Kusanku and made the Pinan kata. So for example, our Kusanku Dai comes in this way, right? But if you do the first three moves of Pinan Shodan, and ready, you turn, 1, 2, 3, it's the same. And then Kusanku Dai goes 1, 2, 3, 4, it's the same. 1, 2, 3, it's the same. So that translates right back into Pinan Shodan. Shinto is a lot like Pinan Godan with this here. And with this here is like Sandan. And then Shinto also has the drop, like Pinan Godan. So those kata specifically, they cross over very nicely. Yes?
At what age do you guys start teaching the bunkai for each kata? Or is it right when they learn the kata, they need to learn the bunkai immediately afterwards?
Safety is always the #1 concern. So there are certain moves we will not teach our kids. We have kind of prescribed self-defense things that we do for each belt rank level, especially for the kids. But even with that, there's certain things, like I don't like teaching kids to break the eardrum. So I tell them to slap the head, because they're kids. And last thing I need is a call from a principal. Hey, you know what your student did on my playground? Whose student? That guy down the road? Mr. Mires' student?
It's a long road.
Yeah. It's careful what I teach the kids. But I mean, I will teach them joint locks. And I will do, especially with some of the ones that grapple, some chokes. But I'm always careful with it. But I think you'll find if you give the kids some reason for what they do, they'll perform the kata better. They'll perform it better. So like I was saying earlier when we did the Pinan, I'll grab them and make them buck my arm and throw their kick. I'll do a lot of that kind of thing with the kids. And then we have some keyhone sets that Minoru Sensei came up with. It's like, this would be one for Pinan Shodan, because you have the cross block, kick, punch. So like, Minoru Sensei teaches this, 1, 2. So with my kids, we do a lot of stuff like that. Anything else? Did you want to practice the throw from Pinan Godan?
No, it's okay. I just wanted to see what application you would do.
That's a common one, the throw,
Yeah.
and then the arm bar. And then the other thing you got to think about too, though, is anytime you do a technique that drops down, and this is true for Kusanku, Shinto, Pinan Godan, you also have a move coming up. And a lot of old school karate, especially if you look at the old black and white footage, they did techniques from here, right? They did techniques from here. They did that in Aikido too. So you might have one application coming down, then he might come in with a punch, and you might have another one coming up this way, right? So that's just something else to look at in your karate. And it enhances your ability to defend yourself, because maybe you're tying your shoe to this guy. Now what are you going to do, right? So anyway. Let's do that for a minute, just because it's different and fun. Okay? So you're kneeled down here, and this punch is coming. So you cover, and as you come up, you're in your Morote Uke position, right? Now, I don't care how you control. You can slip under the arm, control the head, however you want. But this is the next move of the kata. Anytime this move happens, you have one side pulling, one side going this way. So there are many different ways to look at this, but one stretching, one striking, okay? All right, try that for a minute. Right? Anytime both hands come in, you're probably pulling something in of your opponent's. That could be his arm, that could be his head, right? That could be his leg. You're probably pulling something in of your opponent. And then I was even talking about my sensei, Sensei Bethe. He likes to talk about how your kick can be application, but the pullback from the kick can be application attacking the leg. So there are a lot of times things that we miss in that, okay? All right, we got about 15 minutes. We can do 2 more things from Pinan Yandan real quickly. I'm trying to give you some concepts for the end of this so we can look at them. Like here's a good concept for you. In Pinan Yandan, we chop, we kick, and we do a strike. What kind of a strike is it?
Back fist.
Could it be an elbow?
Could be.
Could be, right? So this is one of those things, it's taught all the time as a back fist, but if you start thinking of having many minds in your kata, was the way it was explained to me, the elbow could be the strike, right? So if he throws a haymaker and attack, there's my bunkai down. And so a little slower this time, 1, right? So I'm covering and striking same time. 2 is I pull and kick same time. 3. Because in this I actually have an opponent. So there's no reason not to pull as I throw that kick. So again, you're 1, 2, 3. This drops right on the spine, or actually Minoru Sensei talked about breaking the shoulder blade one time by dropping the elbow on the shoulder blade. I haven't seen that happen, but it sounds pretty painful. Okay, go ahead and try that one. It's really bad for his spine too, because I'm actually leaning my body onto the back of his head and lifting with both hands this way, which is like this in kata, right? Well, that gets into a concept Bill Hayes has about wormholing in self-defense, moving from one kata to the next. So you do the moves you need to beat your opponent, right? Because normally in self-defense you won't do all of Pinan Yandan right in a row before you go to the next kata. Okay, so again, you're here, 1, 2, 3, trap, and now keeping this tight. You can wrap it up under the armpit, but from here I'm a lot more susceptible to this, right? Especially as big as he is and as little as I am. So I like a little bit of space, and here, the thing is, if he does get unruly, I can always abandon that throw and then start attacking other areas too, right? So, anyway, go ahead and try that with the choke. Just be careful with everyone's spine and neck. Okay? Military combatives and things like this is hands, face, waist. Those are the areas you watch. I actually co-wrote a course with the guy who teaches military PD, Air Force PD. And he talks about when you're training Air Force PD, you watch hands, face, waist. Because the hands, the face lets you know where they're looking and lets you know their intention sometimes by the look on the face, right? The waist holds most of the weapons, and the hands are what kills you. Okay, so those are the 3 things you've got to watch. So, you know, the question was, how do I know that he has a knife? You don't. But you see them reach, and you don't stay there. You get control of that arm immediately, or you push him to the side, right? So like I was saying, he's got me in this choke, right? He's got me in this guillotine. He sees me reaching for something. Exactly. And the only thing I would do in addition to that is kick the back of the knee so they couldn't chase after me. You know, because if you break the back of the knee, you hit the back of the knee, and you smash into the floor, and you take off running, they can't do anything, right? So hands, face, waist. And just in reaction to that, if I'm approaching somebody, if somebody's approaching you and you can't see their hands, you need to be careful. You need to be cautious immediately, right? But if we're in an argument and he sees me like looking my hand, he needs to be covering that immediately. And if you don't know the fight's happening, maybe you're not as aggressive with it. Maybe you just, hey, what's going on? You know what I mean? You just get your hands close. Because if your hands aren't close from here, he doesn't stand much of a chance of covering, right? But if he has his hands close, now he can start getting control of the situation a little better, right? So those are just things to watch for. And that's something a lot of times when we're doing bunkai, we never have anyone else reach, right? We never have anyone reach into their thing. A lot of times when we're practicing bunkai, we forget to look around at our surroundings and see who's around us, right? And sometimes when we're practicing bunkai, I will, in my dojo, walk up and start punching the person who's trying to do the bunkai technique. Not hard, but just like, hey, watch your surroundings kind of things, you know? Because it teaches my students to actually look around. And there's a time and a place for that. Obviously, if we're training with the Okinawans and we're doing super formal things, I'm not walking around punching people, right? I'm just doing what we're doing. And there are times in the dojo where we do super formal exercises and we just do it the traditional way. But there are sometimes in our dojo too where we do it a little bit more, this is street self-defense reality. As you're doing your technique from your kata, you better be watching your surroundings. You better be watching for a weapon and know what you're doing. So try that same technique again, and I don't have enough training knives for everybody, but just sort of fake it. Reach into your gi, reach behind you, and see if your opponent, and all I want you to do, if they reach, right? So he's got me in this headlock, and I reach, all I want you to do is push to the side, kick, and get out of there, right? Again, like I said earlier, we're not police, we're not law enforcement. We have no obligation to take this from anybody. We don't need to stay there and get stabbed trying to wrestle over the knife. We can get ourselves to safety, and then call the police to come in and do it. And they'll come in with a big team. They won't, you know, it won't be one guy sent in, you know. It'll be a lot better. Okay? All right, go ahead.